What's up, and welcome back to the DualSense podcast. This is episode 100. We've finally hit triple digits. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jason, and I'm joined by your other co-host, of course. His name this evening is Kacha. Don't know what that means. He's otherwise known
Kocha.
as Kocha, okay. Otherwise known as Travis. Travis, what's going on? And what is Kocha?
I believe that's slang for vagina.
Oh man, I should have known.
You should have known. Yeah, you should learn by now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So what else is going on? What do you think about 100 episodes? We've done this 100 times.
It's interesting. Who would have thought?
Yeah. How many
Look
times
at
do you have to
us.
do something for it to become a habit?
Well, it's either 15 or 30, depending on what month you ask my coworker.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun listening to you try not to choke to death over there.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. I have all this post-nasal drip, and we always do this after we eat, typically, and it's really a rough go for me. So
Yeah, why don't you do it? Why don't you eat after the podcast?
I'm gonna eat at 10 o'clock at night.
That's not my problem.
I'll fucking have like an insulin crash before we ever get started if I do that.
Oh, how long have you been diabetic?
I'm working on it.
I just hear a lot of excuses over there.
Yeah. So, 100 episodes. I guess in 4 more episodes, we'll have hit our official 2-year anniversary, let's say, because 52 weeks in a year and all that. Yeah. So, yeah, it's thankfully, it is a big news week for our 100th episode. We didn't quite get a God of War news week like I thought we might get for this, but that's okay. We still got a lot of good things to talk about. But before we kind of get into the housekeeping here, I did want to mention quickly that I am working on, because you and I are both going to be on vacation the same week here coming up soon. I'm working on getting Mr. Ryan Betson from the For the Players podcast down in Australia, down under. He's going to join us sometime the week before we leave to record an episode with us where we just talk PlayStation and bullshit and no real agenda or structure, but we just talk about what's going on and what's to come this year and, whatever. Just to have something to make sure that we don't miss a week while we're gone, since we won't be able to record like normal. So we're working on that. It's in the works. I've got a verbal commitment, and I've got to use the rest of my recruiting points for the next couple of weeks to get him to sign the letter of intent.
Yo, I got that lockout perk, so if something happens, let me know.
Nice. That's an NCAA football reference. Hopefully, some of you may get, but yes, we're working on that. But anyway, we are a PlayStation podcast. If you haven't figured that out by now, Travis and I get together each and every week, and we discuss all things news, rumors, new game releases, and much more. We do it all in under 90 minutes, and we post new episodes on Mondays on all of the usual podcast services as well as YouTube, where you can also catch some gameplay videos that we have been posting pretty regularly here in the last several weeks. We're also on social media, of course. You can find us on Twitter, where we're most active. Our handle is at the DualSense Pod. And you can also find us on Instagram, where we post virtual photography from video game photo modes. We have a Facebook page, and we also have a blog, which is the DualSensePodcast.wordpress.com. So hit us up. We'd love to talk PlayStation with you. Tell us what you think about the 100th episode, if we're better now than we were at the beginning, or if we still suck. So without further ado, let's jump into a very big news week. Travis, we've got a lot to talk about here, but don't worry, we'll find a way to do it in under 90 minutes, of course. Here we go. Number 1, PlayStation held an end of the fiscal year business briefing this week, which included a plethora of interesting information regarding both the short and long-term plans for the company. Let's begin with the short-term news. PlayStation President and CEO Jim Ryan said that PlayStation plans to launch 2 live service titles in the current fiscal year ending March 31st, 2023, which he said does not include Destiny 2 or any related content, but rather 2 titles that are currently unannounced. A presentation shown during the briefing also revealed that 3 live service games are planned for the following fiscal year, with 4 more the year after that and 2 more the year after that, making it a grand total of 12 live service games coming by March 31st of 2026. On the VR front, Ryan said that PlayStation will have more than 20 games ready for the launch of PlayStation VR 2 from a variety of both first-party and third-party developers, stating, quote, "Right now, there is a considerable amount of money being spent on partnerships with independent and other third-party developers to secure a considerable pipeline of attractive VR content at the launch of PSVR 2." End quote. Moving outside of games for a moment, Sony Pictures Entertainment also revealed during the presentation that they have television adaptations in the works for God of War and Horizon, while Gran Turismo will be getting a film adaptation of all things. They confirmed that Amazon has acquired the rights to the God of War series, which Deadline reported earlier this year was being led by the Expanse creators and executive producers Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby. Meanwhile, Netflix has acquired the rights to a Horizon series, but no details were given on the Gran Turismo film. However, Deadline reports that Sony is seeking District 9 and Chappie director Neil Blomkamp to direct the big screen adaptation of the popular racing franchise. Looking ahead to the future, PlayStation is planning a significant push towards PC and mobile platforms over the next few years, with half of its annual releases expected to be on PC and mobile by 2025. In this regard, Ryan said, quote, "By expanding to PC and mobile, and it must be said, also to live services, we have the opportunity to move from a situation of being present in a very narrow segment of the overall gaming software market to being present pretty much everywhere." End quote. He added that live services could be a large part of this, stating, quote, "I would say, for example, if we are successful in making a portion of the 12 live service games that we have in development in PlayStation Studios, if only a portion of those enjoy critical and commercial success, then the impact of that over time will be completely transformational to our business structure." End quote. In fact, PlayStation projects that their net sales on PC platforms will jump from $80 million last fiscal year to $300 million this fiscal year alone. God of War released on PC back in January, with Uncharted 4 and Uncharted The Lost Legacy still on the way for this year. Slides in this part of the presentation also seem to indicate that Sony will phase out releases on PS4 by 2025. PlayStation also discussed how they intend to invest their money and resources in the years ahead to support this rapid growth. For one, they intend to increase their investment in gaming in new gaming IP, with plans to have a 50-50 split in its game development budget for existing IP versus new IP by 2025. For context, the development budget this fiscal year, 2022-23, is being spent 34% on new IP versus 66% on existing properties. Not only that, but PlayStation is also shifting its development budget to spend 55% making live service titles versus 45% on traditional titles by 2025. Investing for the future won't just stop with games and IP for Sony, however, as they also plan to continue investing in mergers and acquisitions of developers that make sense. Speaking on the subject, Ryan said, quote, "In terms of future M&A activity, the answer to that is we are not at all finished with our strategy of trying to grow PlayStation Studios inorganically. As we transition from our historic game development strategy to a much broader and much wider market reach that we enjoy today, it is very likely that inorganic stimulus will be required to help us realize these dreams." End quote. And finally, to wrap up here, Jim Ryan addressed one of the biggest elephants in the room, the supply and demand of the PlayStation 5 console. Ryan said U.S. retailer events sell PS5s at a rate of nearly 1,000 units per minute, according to PlayStation, with PS5 selling 80,000 units in 82 minutes on average. This dwarfs the PS4 by country mile, as we say here, which needed 9 days to sell 80,000 units at the same point in its own life cycle. Couple that fact with the supply constraints and logistical challenges presented by lingering COVID-19 issues and the war in Ukraine, and you can see why Sony is struggling to meet demand. However, Sony does anticipate PS5 sales to once again overtake the sales pace of the PS4 life cycle by 2024 at the latest. Okay, so quite a bit to take in there, but they dropped a pretty big presentation on us this week, so a lot to talk about, but where do you want to start here?
Funny how Ukraine comes up in supply issues when they never have before. Like they didn't even exist on the world scale of anything. And then
Right.
Putin decides to shit on them and suddenly they're affecting microchip transactions, whatever.
I think we talked about how they make the lasers that cut the microchips or some shit like that. I know I read that they make like 50% of the lasers that cut the the wafers that make the microchips.
I got
Anyway,
a laser for him. Anyway, yeah. So it's interesting the volume. These 12 titles by 2026. They're average. That's like 3 a year of live service games, which seems like a lot. But he does make a good point. Like they don't all have to hit, and typically when
yeah,
a live service game hits, it hits pretty fucking big. So if
hmm
two of those hit, if they go 1 for 6, like they'll be fine. They'll make a lot of money. So that
right,
I see that perspective of why they're so important and why they're pushing them so hard. Even games that probably aren't greatly received. Like I would like to know what Avengers made overall. Like I know people say it lost money, but like think about it really.
hmm
I mean, it probably made more money than a normal Avengers game would have made if it was just a straight playthrough. Of course, they spent more, but you get what I'm saying. So
right.
that's interesting. He said they're currently unannounced, so that kind of ruins my Heartlands call. I mean, where's Heartlands at? Where are we at with the Division Heartlands?
Well, that's a Ubisoft problem. You'll hear from them here. I'd say in July.
It's just weird. Yeah, but see, I have no idea what these could be. They could be anything in the world. I mean, they're making 12. Like, it's so strange to me. But like he said,
hmm
though, for them to expand into the market and be a bigger player than just kind of the niche they find themselves in, maybe in the last decade, they're going to need inorganic growth to reach that, and they're going to need a live service game that is theirs to reach that. So all of those things make sense. None of that is entirely surprising to me when we've been hearing about kind of what their plans have been for the last 12 months, right? As far as these films and movies go, like the God of War series makes sense. The Horizon series makes sense to me. I think both of those could be very good. I
Yeah.
don't understand the Gran Turismo thing. I don't. What are we doing? Is it like a speed? All I can think of is Speed Racer, and that doesn't
Mm,
really work. Like I don't understand how you structure the movie around it. Much like I don't understand how
sure.
they make Twisted Metal into a TV series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gran
Fair.
Turismo is literally about cars and then driving them. Typically, cars are
Yeah.
not protagonist and antagonist, except in the movie Cars.
Well, it's
And
about to be about family, like Fast and
oh
Furious.
god, well, the only other movie I could think of with a car is that what was that one with Stephen King movie Carrie, where the car kills people?
Yeah, that's it.
That's all I
When I
got.
said you could, when I said you could fix your car, didn't mean you could rebuild your whole fucking car out of my junkyard. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, I just have no idea where they're going with that. Like it is beyond me as far as I can figure out. So the expanding into PC in mobile is interesting to me because I feel like this is kind of PlayStation's answer to Game Pass in a sense, right? Because Game Pass lets people play anywhere, anyhow. And by
Mhm.
PlayStation jumping into the mobile and PC game, I think it's kind of their way of being in that market in a different way. And they may still sell the games the way that they sell games on console. It's probably
Mhm.
not going to be a first day free game like on Game Pass, sure, but they'll still be there. And I think it's kind of
Mm.
the PlayStation way of being available on these other platforms is kind of how I read that. The only thing that
Mhm.
super, super annoys me about all of this is like PlayStation is like, hey, our net sales on PC platforms is going to go from 80 to 300 million this year. It's like, yeah, because you had like two games on it last year, and now you're going to
Mm.
put God of
Right.
War and Uncharted on it. Like, of course, like that's not a thing that you brag about. That's not a thing that's unforeseen. Like you brag about things you didn't expect. Like a thing to brag about is they're selling like 800 every minute or something like that on average in America. Like nobody saw that coming. Nobody would
Right.
have thought you could sell 80,000 units in 82 minutes. That's not a thing people could comprehend. Like, who would have guessed that, especially based off the PS4 or PS3 sales or Xbox sales, right? That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
But for them to blabber about how their revenue is going to jump, you know, $200 million, of course, you added better games on PC. Like, what do you mean? That's like saying a girl had her tits out and more people stared at them. Fucking, of course they did. But it's interesting that they're being as transparent as they are on these slides about how they are going to kind of move their money around.
Mm.
34% on new IP, 66 on existing properties. Like that's I feel like that's fairly traditional
Mhm.
with what we'd expect for PlayStation. But jumping that up to where it's almost 50-50 in the next 3 years, I think that's a complete reflection of that they realize they want to be in a, to be a bigger player in the market, they have to do that to be able to have live services and to be on PC and stuff like that. So,
Right.
it's interesting that they're that transparent. You don't really see that a lot. from companies, they're kind of like, hey, we're going to do more, we're going to do more less. That's kind of it. But for them to throw percentages up and talk about having a 50-50 split, like that's really interesting to me. But the cool
Mm.
part about all of this, as I wrap this up, is this sort of briefing, this fiscal year briefing. It's laid out the roadmap of what they're going to be doing and going after. So we'll have kind of checkpoints along the way to see where they are. But
Yeah,
also,
that's a great point.
it's confirmed things that we kind of expected. Like they're going to be
Hmm.
moving more into PC. We expected that. More into mobile. We expected that. But it also confirmed maybe some things that we didn't expect, like the extent that they're pushing
Hmm.
sort of the video, like the movie and TV series thing. Like that's more than I expected for sure. So
Yeah,
it's kind of cool to see everything laid out. It'll be interesting to see, to look back in 100 more episodes, like where did we actually touch base that was correct.
right. No, I think that's a very great point and well said. I'll kind of start at the top here and work my way through as well the write up and touch on some of the things you said as well. But 12 live service games in the next 4 years, basically 3.5 years at this point almost. That is significant. And like you said, and like to your point about what Jim had to say, you're absolutely right. They don't all have to be hits. They don't all have to be these touchstone live service experiences. There's only one Fortnite. There's only one Warzone. If they, like you said, if they can just get one or two that are just blockbusters, like change the free to play or the live service landscape a little bit, then to what Jim's saying here, that totally changes what their business structure looks like because Fortnite and Warzone just print money. I mean, Activision is worth $67 billion, you know? And so I get it. I absolutely get it. And the other interesting thing I think about that, about you made the comment about how they're shifting to 50-50 live service versus traditional like single player game, whatever. I think that's somewhat driven by just what they're seeing in patterns of sales. I saw where, and I didn't include it in the write up, but in the elsewhere in this slideshow, they said that in 2019, spending on DLC and add on content was $15 billion for them. And they're projecting it by 2025 to be $25 billion. So they're projecting it in the next 3 years to be $10 billion more of revenue for them. Well, across the industry, I think is what it was. That tells you right there where their head's at. Also, along those lines, they're going to move towards that 50-50 split of new IP, new IP versus existing IP, basically sequels versus new games. I thought that was really interesting as well because I think that's a product of society in a way because we're always looking for the next best thing. We're always looking for the next show on Netflix that everybody's talking about that's a banger. You know what I'm saying? Like we're always trying to look for whatever the next phenomenon is going to be. And I think that they can see the writing on the wall in a way, and they know that well, they have to cultivate, they have to continue to cultivate these franchises that are big touchstones for PlayStation, God of War, Uncharted, and so on, Horizon. But they also understand that they have to be creating new things to keep it fresh, to keep people engaged as well. I think so. I thought both of those were interesting. And as far as the two that are coming this year, I think I've settled in on my bet being The Last of Us Factions, which I think is going to come later this year, alongside the remake, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. I think the other one is going to be Twisted Metal because we know there's been reports that it's going to be a free to play game. And we know that they're coming out with a show next year. So I think maybe they might put out Twisted Metal in late winter next year before the show comes out or something like that, just to kind of drum up interest. And so those are my two bets for the live service games coming out this year. Now, as far as PSVR 2, that's very exciting about having 20 games ready for launch. We know several of them actually at this point. We know Horizon Call of the Mountain is going to be probably the biggest one from the first party. So that's exciting. I'm glad that they are, kind of going all in a way and not just something that they're just kind of throwing a little bit of money at. It seems like they're really getting behind it, which is good. I'm like you on the shows and movies. Like I don't know what they're doing with Gran Turismo. I don't I don't know. I literally don't know how you make a Gran Turismo movie, but we were pretty skeptical of Uncharted as well, but that was a little easier to see because that's more, that's
Mhm.
like Indiana Jones, whatever, like, National Treasure type shit. Like that was easier to see than Gran Turismo. But the fact that they're trying to get Neil Blomkamp to do it blows my fucking mind. So I don't know. I don't know what you can do with that. But also to your point, it definitely, if they're going to do Gran Turismo, then no Sony IP is safe, in my opinion, from not being made into a show or a film in some way. I mean,
TV monster.
honestly, like if they're going to do Gran Turismo, they could do anything. So that's interesting. Now that Uncharted is huge for them, smash hit, they made hundreds of millions off of it. They're they're just reinforced. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just reinvigorated in a way that they probably weren't before. So just get ready for more. And then one interesting note about the PC mobile thing. So they, as I said here, they're expecting half of their annual releases to be on PC and mobile. So my question about that is that are they anticipating also expanding how many games that they're releasing every year? Because, for instance, I don't think that we're going to get let's say PlayStation releases 4 games every year. I don't think 2 of them are going to be for PC and 2 of them for PS5. I think my guess is what this means is that if they release 4 games, okay, let's say they release 4 PS5 games, maybe they're going to release 4 more games on PC, but it might be older PS5 games to your point. Like it might be whatever, like Spider-Man 2 comes out next year. So
Mhm.
let's just say Spider-Man 2 probably is going to come to PC in 2024, is what I'm trying to say. So I think they're going to use the back catalog to come to PC and basically double up on new releases coming on PS5 and some of the back catalog coming to PC. However, it's hard to say at this point. Maybe everything's on the table now. Maybe we're going to get day one releases on PC. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. But I mean, Sony's doing a lot of things that, we wouldn't have predicted a year ago. And so we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe it's just selective day
Yeah,
one releases.
sure. Sure. Then really the last thing that I wanted to say was what we pretty much know. A couple things here. We pretty much know that Sony's not done buying studios or developers, especially not since they're trying to grow at this pace that they are. I think they'll still continue to buy, like some support studios, maybe some more PC port studios, and probably a couple of big developers too that, we're going to make games like Kojima possibly or something like that. So I think that's all within the realm of possibility. The pace at which PS5 is selling 80,000 units in 82 minutes is fucking insane. So no wonder they can't keep up. But the fact that they're optimistic that they will eventually catch back up to the pace that they were on the first year of PS5 is a good sign, I think. But 2024, when they think it's going to get back to that pace, is a long time away. All right, number 2. One of the most interesting parts of the aforementioned PlayStation Investor Relations briefing, Travis, was a section that looked at how Bungie will be integrated within Sony Interactive Entertainment structure. Plans include Bungie and PlayStation Studios sharing processes and principles in the first 6 months following the acquisition, after which Bungie will begin assisting other first party studios in their in development live service titles, including reviewing all live service titles in the works at PlayStation Studios at that time. It all culminates with the formation of the quote, SIE Live Services Center of Excellence, end quote, and a fully established live service operations model spearheaded by Bungie that will see the Halo and Destiny creators play a key role in design and concept reviews, monetization reviews, pre production pipeline reviews, launch readiness reviews, and post launch reviews. PlayStation is currently preparing to mobilize its integration plans once the acquisition deal is officially closed. So I thought this was really interesting. I wanted to break it out into sort of its own thing because we've talked about how, yeah, PlayStation's buying Bungie. They're going to be like this independent thing that, they don't really, they're not going to make exclusives per se. And like Sony owns them, but they're not really going to make them do anything specific or, they're
Mhm.
not like a normal PlayStation studio is what I'm trying to say. So we didn't really know what that means, but this is the first really good look at what this is going to be like. So, do you have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely making them do something, but it seems like what Sony is doing is saying, "Look, you've made 2 pretty awesome live ser like, you're known for these. Destiny's pretty awesome as far as live service is concerned,
Hmm.
and awesome as in, like, the longevity it's had with its core base," and they're saying, "Hey, we're gonna take 6 months to show you kind of our way, the PlayStation way, what that means, what the culture is."
Yeah.
What principles are those for Bungie? Probably, like, don't fuck anybody you work with. I would assume that's in there somewhere,
Yeah.
especially forcefully, and then they're gonna go from there and kinda make whatever they want in a sense. Because I get the feeling that Sony doesn't care what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's live service, dude. I don't care what you do. I don't care what it is, just as long as it's live service and it's kinda cool, then we'll go from there, but follow it kind of in the framework of our culture and kind of the expectation of PlayStation, that kind of umbrella that falls in there. I mean, it's pretty, I guess you could say it's vague in a sense, but to me, that's really black and white, of kind of what the expectations are.
Yeah, but what do you think about this? What do you think about this idea of them like basically overseeing all of the live service games that PlayStation Studios are making? Because that's the way I read this. So
Yeah.
what do you think about them basically saying, "All right, Bungie, you guys made Destiny. Everybody fucking loves Destiny. They love the way you support it and the content you make. So we wanted to buy you so that you could just basically run this for us." Is the way I read this.
Right, which is interesting. But my first thought is there's no way that how do you catch lightning in a bottle twice? Like, how do you get Destiny twice?
Mm.
That
Hmm.
feels incredibly unlikely. But they have done really good things
Mm.
with Destiny that we've seen, like you just said, with the post-launch content, with the way they update the game, the
Mm.
way they communicate and listen to like the player base. So in a way, you're thinking, okay, well, we know they can do these 3 or 4 things really well, right? So and they do them at a high level, right? The way that they share data and do this, that, and the other, and use feedback and create this content around what already exists, right? They kind of keep it alive. So you're thinking, okay, cool. All of that is they're the best at that, right? So
Hmm.
give them access to all 12 of these things we want to do in the next 4 or 5 years, and
Yep.
theoretically one of them has to hit. So to me, it's almost like when you draft somebody or you hire somebody with what you perceive as a lot of potential. Like you've done this on one level and you were really, really successful at it, but now we're going to put you in the NBA and we're going to see if you can carry it over. That's kind of
Mm.
what this feels like to me because you're taking them from you're doing this thing almost organically to now you're in charge, right? You're the guy, and it's in a way it's a similar role, but it's a much bigger umbrella for them. I don't know. It's an interesting idea, but to me it seems like also in another sense that PlayStation's like, "I don't wanna deal with this, so you deal with it." I kind of like it's kinda weird to me, but
Right. Right.
it makes a little bit more sense based off what we heard last week.
Yeah. It seems really smart. Right now, sitting here right now, it seems like a really smart move for a number of reasons. But if this is the structure that it's going to follow, which obviously it is, or at least it's what they're shooting for, it seems really smart. Now, will it work out? I don't know. The problem that I think, which PlayStation doesn't seem to have this problem, but PlayStation is growing so quickly and they're shifting their structure or their business strategy so quickly as well that in the back of my mind there's this fear that this could all fall apart in a way where we get away from we start to do more live service. PlayStation Studios isn't really known for that. There's not really that framework there. So okay, they hire Bungie, someone who's really good at it and who's made two really good live service titles at this point. We want them to basically oversee this, but they've never done that either. They've only done it for their games. You know what I'm saying? They've never helped anybody else make a live service game. So those are my concerns, I guess, but it seems smart. It seems like a great idea. I think it's really fascinating that essentially, like I said, PlayStation has bought Bungie and they've told them, hey, we want you to review, oversee, coordinate all of our live service games coming out of our first party teams because we don't really know what we're doing and we know that and we think that you do. So we want everything to get ran by you guys is basically what they're saying. I think that's really interesting. Um we'll see if it works out, I guess, but I thought that was so fascinating to see how they're planning to do that. And that obviously isn't going to be the case for these first couple of games because the Bungie deal isn't closed. So I guess we'll see. So I guess a true test might be to see what the Last of Us factions looks like, Twisted Metal looks like, and then see what the games that come after that look like. Like, hard to imagine that factions isn't going to be a hit, but let's say, maybe not so much, or some things we don't like about it potentially, and then to see what happens after the Bungie deal closes and how those live service titles evolve a little bit. I think that'll be interesting as well. Number 3, as expected, Sony began to show the cracks in its global launch plans for the new PlayStation Plus service this week following its release in Asia, where users who had purchased subscriptions at a discounted price on their PlayStation Plus were prompted to pay extra to upgrade to the extra or premium tiers of the service, wiping out the savings they received by purchasing at a discount and essentially paying that savings back to Sony. On Wednesday afternoon, however, Sony fixed this part of the problem, with PlayStation's Ask PlayStation Support Twitter handle issuing a statement that read, quote, "Due to a technical error, players in Asia who have previously purchased a PlayStation Plus membership at a discount have been incorrectly charged for their upgrade pricing. This error has been fixed and impacted players will receive a credit. We thank you for your patience." End quote. In addition, users who had stacked years of PlayStation Plus on their account were being required to pay to upgrade to the higher tiers for the entire duration of their stacked membership, as opposed to 1 month or 1 year at a time. For example, if someone had stacked PlayStation Plus to 2030 and wanted to upgrade to the premium tier of the new service, they were required to pay the upgrade fee all the way through 2030, resulting in some outrageous upgrade fees for the service. It is without question yet another outrageous move from Sony, as it both strongly discourages users to upgrade their subscription and punishes people who had stacked their subscriptions long before the new service was even announced in some cases. It remains to be seen if this system will remain as is for the upcoming launch in Japan and North America, although the backlash is sure to intensify if and when it does. Any thoughts here?
Oh yeah, my initial. It's funny how like your perception changes. Even with this, they come out with a statement and say due to a technical error, right?
Yeah, that's horseshit.
Yeah, and exactly like your immediate reaction now is we're also cynical. We're like that's stupid because if nobody would have complained, it wouldn't have been a technical error. It would have just been a policy. But
Right.
since everybody complained, it's a problem, and we
Mm-hmm.
don't really give people the benefit of the doubt anymore, especially companies, especially
That
huge.
is true.
So yeah, I mean, while I agree with you, it's complete horseshit that they definitely did it on purpose and it wasn't a technical error, and I think that they're lying. I
Yeah.
would also like to point out that it's funny how nobody gets the benefit of the doubt anymore, but that's just the way of the world now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with everybody who's been upset about it. We talked about the other day. You're punishing me because I took advantage of the system you created. You built a loophole into it that let me stack things and let me buy things on a discount. So no, I'm not. I don't want to pay you. No, I don't think I should have to pay you. Like I bought these fair and square. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
It almost makes more sense to me to if anybody has anything stacked, refund everything and then make them buy from zero. That makes more sense to me. Now, how would you enforce that? I have no
Sure.
idea because people buy them on cards. They don't buy them all online, etc. I get all that. But that makes more sense to me than just saying, "Hey, you have to pay this upgrade through. Oh, you're stacked for 10 years. Cool. Here, pay 10 years of upgrades." Like it's
Right.
outrageous. But I'm also not surprised. Like the closer we got to this, we hadn't heard anything solid about what was going to happen to people who had stacked. I'm not as stacked as far as you are, but I'm stacked a couple. I think I'm stacked like a year or two out. I think. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think up through 24 or 25.
Yeah, I'm stacked through 24 as well. Yeah.
So, oh, okay, I guess we're the same then. So I was curious. What are they going to ask me? What are they going to tell me? And my presumption was, and this is maybe me being stupid, was like, let's say I did get them on discount. I bought them on sale. Let's say like they know I bought them for half price. Let's say, what does that equate to on the scale? Okay, cool. You spent $30. That's the medium tier. That's what you got. Like that's in my head. I thought maybe they could figure that out in some way.
Well, they are doing that. They are doing that in their
Yeah,
defense.
and I just thought it would be like that would be the end of it. I don't know what else I
Mm-hmm.
expected. Like I just thought that would be the end of it. I don't know. I just think
Right.
it's kind of a shitty thing to do. Is kind of how I feel about it. But I understand they're
Yeah.
a business and they're going to try to get away with it.
Yeah. So they are doing what you described. That they are. So like us, we've paid for PS Plus through 2024. So that's the base tier. So the extra 14 months that my PS Plus goes past my PlayStation Now, the way I understand it is that is prorated somehow to give me whatever that equates to in PlayStation Premium. So not 14 months, it might be like 5 months of PlayStation Premium. So it'll add on to when my new expiration date is basically. But the point is that it's all too fucking complicated, which we knew it was going to be, obviously, but they back that up with this technical error, quote unquote. I can promise you that they tried to do this in the Asian market because they knew they could get away with it and do a mea culpa, and just like they can just, oh, my bad, and they could just do a make good, like, oh, we're gonna give them a credit. It's a make good. It's sorry, our bad. So if they had started in North America and done that, it would have been a bigger even shit show than it was. And they know they couldn't do that, so that's why they didn't do it. So anyway, they did that because, and they did it where they did it because they knew they could get away with it, or at least they could backtrack it pretty quickly, and fix it. Now, I know that, like you said, that's pretty cynical of me, but I just I can't. I'm not buying. I can't believe that was a technical error because that they had to test. Okay, let me back up. They're launching a revamped service. They know that people are going to either renew, enroll for the first time, or transfer their membership over. They know that this is all an administrative process for everyone who's making a change almost. So they had to have tested scenarios beforehand of like, okay, what happens if somebody is this and they try to sign up? What happens? They're a they're a Fortune 500 company. And you're going to tell me that they didn't test scenarios to see what would happen? Like, this isn't like a little like thing this isn't something where like this isn't a minor bug. Like somebody enrolled and it said that their subscription didn't expire until 2099. Like, that's a bug. Okay, that's a technical error. This is not that. This is a significant blunder, in my opinion, that cost could well, not anymore. They're going to get a credit, but it cost people money. So anyway, I digress. But
But they also did market studies. Like they should have
yeah,
shown the reaction. You do the market study, like you said, and all that other stuff. There's no reason they shouldn't have had an idea this is coming.
yeah. The other thing is, you and I know from work experience that large entities do things to see what they can get away with, or they do things knowing what they can get away with, or they do things knowing what they can hide or go back on. For instance, I used to work at, and you probably remember this. I used to work at a university here in the States. I won't say what university, but or anybody that was involved, but we were redoing our football field at this college. And we decided that we were going to put out a fan vote online of what color we wanted our field to be. Okay. There were three options. We had already decided internally what that color was going to be, but we ran a poll anyway because we wanted people to feel involved. Okay. Or here's how we got away with picking the color that we wanted. When you did the poll, nobody saw poll results. So it didn't matter. Whatever color could have won, it did not matter. The color we wanted was going to be what the football field was, what color the football field was. So I say that to say that this is how things work sometimes. Okay. So don't believe everything that a company tells you. Don't apologize for them. Okay. We're PlayStation fans, but don't feel sorry for these people. That's all I got to say. That's my mini rant over. Number 4, elsewhere in PlayStation Plus land, we learned this week that many of the classic PlayStation games are the 50 Hz PAL versions of the games, even in non-PAL regions. For the layperson, this means that these games run slower at either 25 or 50 frames per second. This is because many regions, including Europe and Australia, use the PAL video format, or at least they used to, which is limited to the 50 hertz, whereas the NTSC video format seen here in the States and other places supports the 60 hertz refresh rate. Additionally, Sony confirmed that PS3 games, or any streaming games for that matter, will still not support DLC when they come to the new PlayStation Plus. This has been the case with game streaming on PlayStation Now for years, but just a reminder. Along those lines, only the remastered or remade versions of PS2 games are able to be downloaded. All others must be streamed, and PlayStation 5 games, likewise, are not able to be streamed from the cloud. Any downloaded game can be played offline, but will require the user to connect to the PlayStation Network every 7 days to verify their membership. In game-related news, more potential classic games for the service are popping up, including Dino Crisis appearing on the Hong Kong PlayStation Store, and new age ratings for PS4 and PS5 versions of PSP game Resistance Retribution, PS2 RPG Shadow Hearts were discovered. And finally, Sony also said in a new blog post that bringing trophies to classic games is totally optional for developers. So far, the confirmed list of titles adding trophy support includes Ape Escape, Hot Shots Golf, IQ Intelligent Cube, Wild Arms, and Siphon Filter. All right. Anything here that stands out?
Yeah, I'm not entirely surprised about the FPS issue. I know that'll make the games unplayable for you and some other people, but
Some games, yeah.
I'm not entirely surprised by that. I'd wondered about, we all want to play these PS1 and 2 games, but do they really scale up? How does that work?
Mm,
In theory, I think if you just sat down really quickly and thought about it, you're like, of course they'll work. It's a higher performance system. Why would it not work? Well, there's a lot more to it
right.
than just you plug and play. So I'm not entirely surprised about the Hertz thing being there. I just hope it doesn't make me hate playing a game that I've been looking forward to playing, whatever that may be.
Like Hot Shots Golf.
Yes, I'm excited for Hot Shots Golf. I loved it when I was a kid. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely, if you could platinum it, I'll probably try. Like, let's be honest.
Oh, you can.
I remember Siphon Filter. I remember playing, and I remember playing Dino Crisis. So I'm interested to see kind of if those are like I remember them, which they probably aren't. That's okay.
True.
I think it's interesting that you cannot stream the PS5 games from the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what the back end of that, like, what's the back end reason why?
Sure.
Especially when you can stream some other stuff. So that is interesting to me. But no, I think this is. I'm really excited about the trophies. Like that's what I wanted this whole time. I can live with the frame rate issues if there are trophies.
Yeah, love the trophies. Very excited about that. All those games I listed there, I believe, have a platinum. I know Siphon Filter and Hot Shots Golf and Ape Escape do, for sure. I'm pretty sure I read those trophy lists. But, the thing about having the PAL versions, the PAL versions, if you will, on this service are the fact that they did this with. Do you remember the PlayStation Mini console that they did several years back? It was the mini PS1. It had the games, it
Oh
looked
yeah.
like it anyway, and then you plugged it into your TV and it had like games preloaded on it, like they do all these other mini consoles. Yeah, so that thing had PAL versions of most of the games on there, and that's why it did not do well. Because remember, it launched for like $80, and eventually, like 2 weeks later, a month later, you could find them for $20 at Best Buy. The reason why is because they included these versions of the games that don't run as well, which is a huge mistake. At the very least, have both versions available. Time will tell, but that seems like a mistake. So we'll see. I am excited about all these classic games popping up, like Resistance, and it just gets you excited because you wonder like, all right, what's the next one? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
when are they gonna? When is Metal Gear Solid gonna pop up? So when is fucking Winback gonna pop up? That's the one of the most exciting things about this, in my opinion. So yeah, but I'm excited. I think I'm gonna check out Siphon Filter as long as it doesn't make me throw up. If it's from a performance standpoint. So yeah, this is all other than the versions that they're using, which is another misstep in my opinion. The rest of it is exciting as far as the games and the trophies that are popping up. Number 5, a few big rumors made the rounds this week as well. For starters, we may not have seen the last of the Sly Cooper or InFamous franchises, according to reliable leaker account NGT, who claims that the next major PlayStation showcase will not take place until at least September, and it will include an announcement for a new Sly Cooper game which is believed to be in development at Concrete Genie developer and PlayStation first party studio Pixel Opus, as previously rumored. Account NGT also claims that the same source that told him about Sly Cooper has also told him that a new Infamous game will be announced this year as well. Elsewhere, insider and reporter Jeff Grubb claims that a PSVR 2 event might be on the way very soon, as he is hearing that Sony plans to showcase their new device in a quote unquote substantial way in the near future. Grubb also believes that the next gen headset could potentially release this holiday or early 2023 at the latest, based on what he has heard. What do you think?
I'm forever uninterested in Sly Cooper and Infamous. That's lovely. Knock yourselves out. I just why I don't know. I go back and forth on this. Like those types of games. I mean, maybe they sell more than I realize, but it just seems silly to put that much effort into a game that's going to sell like on a mid to low mid
Mm-hmm.
level. I don't understand. Especially when you could throw money at other things that you know will do well. Like I don't know, pick something.
SOCOM.
Yeah, just pick something. Yeah. Yeah, it's not like that we're so out of options that that these are the best options. It's kind of what I feel like. I don't get it, but I, I mean, I think Sly Cooper has been an obvious thing for a while. Especially it was a freaking Easter egg in Ghost of
Yeah.
Tsushima. Like it's been coming. That's not really news, but that's cool. I get it. But anyway, the next gen headset would be cool. Like awesome, right? You know what I mean? Like we've been ready for
Mm-hmm.
this PSVR 2 thing.
Oh, yeah.
Let's rock and roll. I think I said a couple episodes ago, by a couple I mean a lot, that I think like it made sense for me that it would come out this holiday. But like I almost feel like if you're gonna miss this holiday, just wait till next holiday. Like unless the PS5 Pro is next holiday, like there's no point in releasing it in the spring. Like I just feel like why not capitalize on the holiday market? And it's not like it's an urgent need, if that makes sense to me. I just I don't know. I don't think we have to rush things anymore.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about when VR2 is going to release. You know, earlier in the year, I thought it was coming this year, and maybe that's still the case. It would be certainly a big splash if it did. But spring of next year definitely makes sense as well. I think maybe mostly because you need to give yourself a chance to get some more PS5s out there,
Hmm.
because your market for PSVR 2 is only as big as your market for PS5. So we have
Right.
not we have like almost 20 million in the wild right now. So then you have to try to convince 20 million people to buy a PSVR 2. By default, you increase your chances of selling PSVR 2 the more PS5s you have in the wild, and obviously they want to get 18 million out between now and the end of March of next year. So that'll put you
Why
at
not
like what?
wait?
That'll put you at like what, 37 or 38.
Hmm.
So I don't think that they have to try to push it out this year. Next year I think is fine too. But man, if they did somehow get it out this year, that would be fucking bonkers. That'd be fucking bonkers. I don't know. Backing up to Sly Cooper and Infamous, like you, both of those franchises have never really stuck with me. I've played all of the Infamous games and I've never finished any of them. I mean, I know there's a lot of people excited about both of those, but those certainly are not for me. Number 6, PlayStation announced that a new State of Play live stream will take place on June 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The stream will feature nearly 30 minutes of announcements and updates from third party partners, as well as sneak peeks at several games in development for the PlayStation VR 2. It has been more than 2 months since the last State of Play event, and oddly, it reads as if there will be no first party studios, including God of War Ragnarok, taking part in this stream. Even more curious is the fact that God of War Ragnarok has been rated in South Korea, Travis, meaning that its release is imminent. Yet we have heard nothing official about its release date. For comparison, Horizon Forbidden West was rated in November of last year before releasing 3 months later in February. Furthermore, God of War Ragnarok merchandise appeared online this week from retailer Geeky Zone with a release date of September the 30th, the same release date that is listed in the PSN database for the game itself, according to PlayStation Game Size. Okay, so State of Play, third party, and VR. What do you think of that? Do you have any predictions or hopes?
I feel like we had when we were kids, we had one State of Play a year. I just feel like we never had them, and now we have them every 3 months.
You mean like E3 is all we
Yeah,
had?
I feel like that was it. Like we just had one
Yeah.
thing, and they would talk about all kinds of games, right?
Yeah, you're right. That's what it was.
I don't know. It just seems like it's not as fun to me anymore. It's like they keep adding all these award shows. It's like, oh, is it cool to
Mhm.
win a Grammy? I don't fucking know. Yeah, so obviously God of War is happening. Like, I mean, we know
Mhm.
it's happening. That's not what I mean. But the fact that it's rated in Korea, as we've talked about before, PlayStation stuff in weird fucking random countries, right? So perfect. It's in South Korea. It's rated. We're good. The merchandise is showing up. It's very real at that point, right? So
Yeah.
we're definitely going
Mhm.
to hear something about it on the second for sure, 100%. I think
Oh,
we can
you're
all agree
going
with
there.
that.
You think so?
Oh, it's yeah, because like it's already we already have two smoke plumes, right? This is number
Wow.
three. That's what I
Okay.
think is going to happen with that. The VR2, look, I don't know. I'm sure they'll show us some sneak peek games because they want to keep kind of the PSVR2 in the public eye. Like, to
Mm.
people like us, it's always there, but people are going to see people see these state of plays that are more casual people. So you want to keep pumping it out, right? So, oh, we're still doing the VR stuff. We're still doing the cool, right? So that
Yeah,
makes sense
that's
to me.
fair.
As far as what else we see, I don't really know. I mean, we're so young in the Ubisoft thing that there's no way that we have any idea what the live service stuff will look like with them kind of being in control of it. But I would like to see what some of the live service stuff could be, especially for this year, the two that we're supposed to get. I would love to see something about those.
Mhm.
Those are kind of the four main things I want to see. I want to see what the VR looks like. I want to get confirmation on God of War, and I want to see these two live service things. Those are the two main things I really.
Interesting. I am much less optimistic that we're going to get anything from the first party. I don't think we'll see God of War here. I don't think we'll see anything from PlayStation Studios. I mean, unless it's a total smokescreen, and then at the end they're like, "All right, here's God of War." Might possibly, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. Although, as I mentioned, it is weird that we now know that the game has been rated. We know that it's ready, not ready, but close to being released. We're 3 months away. I think the September release time frame is real. I think September the 30th could be real. That is a Friday. That makes perfect sense. Friday release date is when it's going to come out on a Friday. The other thing that we now know, well, we don't know for sure. I gotta quit speaking in so many like certainties, but Roberto Serrano, who is a quote unquote insider or leaker, who's very hit or miss, granted, but he was right about the state of play date that they just announced for June 2nd. And he is claiming that they're going to have a showcase, like a big showcase on September the 8th. So that probably would be like the last big marketing push or the start of the last big marketing push before God of War launches, is my opinion. It's my gut. So I think September is locked and loaded. God of War, good to go. It's coming this year. No more bullshit. As far as what else could come in the state of play next week, third party and VR stuff, I'm going to guess this is where we see Final Fantasy 16. I think we might see Street Fighter 6 from Capcom. As far on the VR front, I really have no idea. There are a lot of studios who've said that they're working on games for PSVR 2, but I couldn't even begin to guess. The one thing that I really am holding out hope for, as always, haven't brought this up in a long time, is Little Devil Inside.
God,
It is third party. Well, sort of. So I don't know, but I think Final Fantasy, maybe Street Fighter. I don't think we'll see anything like from like the Avatar game. I think that's more like a Game Awards thing. So anyway, that's my some of my couple of my guesses, and yeah, I think God of War is surefire for September. Number 7, Executive Vice President and Head of Marvel Games, Jay Ong, I think that's how you say his name, stated in the 2021 book, The Ultimate History of Video Games, Volume 2, that the company cut their exclusivity deal with Activision short to search for a better partnership. Website Video Games Chronicle reported that, according to Ong, Marvel Games was not happy with the quality of the Spider Man games from Activision and eventually propositioned both Microsoft and Sony to form an exclusive partnership to make Marvel video games. Microsoft passed on the offer to focus on their own IP, according to Ong. Meanwhile, PlayStation and executives Adam Boyce and John Drake were much more receptive, meeting with Ong in August of 2014 to open dialogue on the deal. Of course, it was all downhill from there as Sony pitched a AAA PlayStation exclusive Spider Man game, which they gave to Insomniac Games, a second party studio at the time, and the rest is history. Marvel's Spider Man went on to sell more than 20 million copies and became one of PlayStation's most successful video game releases ever, with a sequel currently on the way. So, what do you think about Microsoft saying, "No, we're good," and maybe one of the biggest misses ever in the video game industry?
Yeah. I love stories like this, like the near misses, right? It's like I mean, you could make an argument because of how well Marvel's Spider-Man is done and how much the hype is for the next one that this is like the Red Sox trading Babe Ruth to the Yankees. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
what do you want? Like, not that he wasn't a bad pitcher, but like they played him at the wrong position. Yankees put him in the outfield, and he's the greatest hitter of all time. It's like they were Marvel. Marvel was getting their game. The Spider-Man games from Activision were suck balls,
Yeah,
and they ended up at Sony, and Sony fucking put it with Insomniac, and it just gaslit the whole thing. It just fucking took off, right? So no, it's pretty
yeah,
crazy, and like these are the types of stories that I love about everything in the world, like the near misses, the poor decisions. It's like at the time if you're Microsoft, you have to think about what they were looking at, and they were probably looking at the games that were made by Activision. And they're like, well, what do we even do with this, right? They didn't have the vision
right.
and the creativity to kind of scope it out. Sony
Yeah,
saw an opportunity because it's a huge fucking IP. I mean, obviously. And at that point, superhero movies were taking off, and we were like, what Iron Man 2 at that time with the
yeah,
movies or
something
something
like
like
that.
that. So yeah,
Hmm.
they saw the train and were like, dude, if this thing hits, it's gonna fucking hit, and like
Yeah,
it didn't miss at all.
that's a great point.
So I mean, I love the story. It's very interesting. I'm sure the book has a lot more cool shit in it too.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm like you. I like kind of like behind the scenes stuff like this, and that's a great point. Sony made that deal at a time when the Marvel Cinematic Universe was about to explode. Obviously, it led to them having a Spider-Man game that exploded. Really, I mean, two games already that have exploded, soon to be three. And they gave it the other thing that you got to give PlayStation credit for is they identified the right developer to make it, and Insomniac was the right one to make the Spider-Man game, and they obviously hit the ball out of the park. Microsoft. I mean, they're obviously fine, but Xbox and Microsoft were like when they saw how well Spider-Man did and how good the game was, they're like, "Fuck." Somebody over there was like, "Fuck." 4 years ago, we had our chance. All right, number 8, Travis. We have a bunch of news nuggets as well, and we're getting tight on time as we knew we would. So we'll get through these though. First nugget: publisher Electronic Arts and developer Respawn announced the long rumored Star Wars Jedi Survivor this week. The sequel picks up 5 years after the events of the first game, and it will release sometime in 2023 on PlayStation 5. During a conference this week, display manufacturer TCL Technology claims that a PS5 Pro is coming sometime in either 2023 or 2024. They believe the system will include support for 8K resolution with 60 frames per second as a baseline and 120 frames per second support at the high end, according to their presentation. And they are just, my understanding is that they are literally just guessing at this, but still, still interesting nonetheless. And I'd say not next year, but 2024 is probably a safe bet for a PS5 Pro. Next nugget: PlayStation began their Days of Play promotion this week, and it will feature a number of sales across games, accessories, and gear. The promotion runs May 25th to June 8th. A new trailer revealed that Hogwarts Legacy will support a number of PS5 features, when it launches, including haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, faster load times, Tempest 3D audio, activity cards, and game help.
Gotta be honest. I'm disappointed in the activity cards.
I've never used it.
Yeah,
I'll be
maybe
yeah,
maybe I'm using it wrong, but it doesn't seem like it's useful ever.
yeah, I've never used it, and I don't think I've used game help either. Both
I
are
have not.
really cool, especially game help. It's a very cool idea, but I just forget about it, honestly.
I've never used Game Help. I think maybe I used it on Astrobot, maybe.
Yeah,
Or maybe I saw the demo was them using it on Astrobot. That might have been what it was.
probably. Also, developer Daybreak Games parent company Enad Global 7 announced that their in-development Marvel MMO game has been canceled and that those development resources will be redistributed to their other projects, including upgrades to DC Universe Online and the Lord of the Rings Online. Activision revealed that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 will release on October the 28th, and a full reveal of the game will take place on June 8th, according to an Easter egg in a trailer released this week.
I'm just here for the 2-on-2. That's all I'm here for.
Oh, hell yeah. The gunfight? Let's go. I'm very excited about this game. It's going to be really fucking good, I think. Website Video Games Chronicle reported that actor Ray Liotta passed away at age 67 this week. Liotta is most known in the gaming world as the voice of Grand Theft Auto Vice City's Tommy Vercetti. R.I.P. to our boy. Insider Tom Henderson leaked the Call of Duty Warzone 2 map this week, if you're interested. Also, COD Insider's Charlie Intel data mined Vanguard game files to discover that Modern Warfare 2 will have 3 editions: Standard Edition, a cross-gen bundle, and a Vault Edition. And per usual, Sony once again has the marketing rights to Call of Duty, as PlayStation players will get to play the game's beta first. Speaking of, Tom Henderson has reported this week that PlayStation has the marketing rights for the next 3 games. So Modern Warfare 2 this year, Warzone 2 this year, and then they're skipping this year, and then he believes they're going to have marketing rights to the 2024 game, which is being made by Treyarch. So that's interesting. Next nugget. Capcom has hinted during a recent investor relations Q&A that they are considering reviving some of its dormant franchises. Developer Grasshopper Manufacturer may reveal their next game by the end of the year, according to studio head Suda51.
Is that the guy's name?
That's what he goes by. It's like a fucking pen name or whatever.
Like, why can't you just go by Dale?
I don't know.
Nobody else does that.
I don't know.
Oh, great. Imagine you going by your gamer tag at work.
I'm the studio head. Yeah, what's your name? Smoky Trout. All right. Next nugget. Hideo Kojima seemed to playfully confirm that Death Stranding 2 is in development after actor Norman Reedus let it slip in a recent interview. Kojima posted a picture on Twitter telling Reedus to, quote unquote, go to your private room. So, Death Stranding 2's confirmed. All but confirmed.
Go to your private room. It's very Japanese.
In an update on what's coming to Battlefield 2042, developer DICE confirmed that the first of 4 seasons of content is coming in June, with all 4 seasons releasing by June of 2023. DICE also announced that the Hazard Zone mode will not receive any further new content. The team will simply keep it running with critical updates moving forward. Publisher Capcom launched a 10th anniversary website for Dragon's Dogma, renewing speculation that a sequel may be in development. Dragon's Dogma 2 was included in the infamous NVIDIA GeForce Now leak last year as well. That actually might be a candidate for the state of play, Dragon's Dogma 2. We'll see. Also, Destiny 2 developer Bungie released the game's new season this week called Season of the Haunted. It will run from May 24th to August 23rd and includes a new battle pass with 100 levels of new cosmetics, weapons, and engrams. Somehow, Ubisoft's Beyond Good and Evil 2 project appears to still be alive, as their Barcelona studio is currently hiring a senior gameplay animator for the game. Speaking during a Twitter Spaces session last week, Summer Game Fest Jeff Keighley said consumers should expect less third-party conferences this year, as publishers with less content opt to participate in Summer Game Fest and first-party conferences. Interesting. Here we go. A new Gran Turismo 7 update this week added 3 new cars to the game. The Toyota GR0110, the GoPro Rampage 1970 Camaro, and a C3 generation Corvette. Also, the Gran Turismo World Series began this week, formerly known as the FIA Gran Turismo Championships.
They also nerfed the Tomahawk, so you can't farm credits anymore.
You missed out.
It's real annoying.
Next nugget. Developer Supermassive Games announced that the multiplayer mode for their upcoming game, The Quarry, has been delayed, but the single-player portion will still release in June.
What do you just dig rocks out of the ground?
Me?
Quarry.
Oh, yeah. It's a scary-looking game. That same people that made Until Dawn. Could be rocks. I mean, there's got to be a quarry in there somewhere, right? A new listing on Steam's database has revealed that PlayStation 5 exclusive Returnal is heading to PC in the near future. So there's where they're going to get their 300 million from this year, Travis. Returnal, Uncharted, etc. They'll get there. The entire plot of the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 expansion leaked online this week after data miners discovered hundreds of lines of dialogue that were mistakenly added to the base game's code after a recent patch. So somebody got fired this week. They cannot stay out of their own way. Speaking of, CD Projekt Red confirmed this week that The Witcher 4 has entered pre-production with around 100 staff currently working on the game. The Callisto Protocol creator Glenn Schofield revealed on Twitter that the sci-fi horror game is no longer a part of the PUBG universe, meaning it is now its own world, story, and universe. Mafia developer Hangar 13 has been hit with another round of layoffs as 50 additional staff members were let go following the cancellation of several projects. Kotaku confirmed that part of Hangar 13 is working on Project Hammer, which is a reboot of the Top Spin tennis series, as had been previously reported. It is planned to release before the Mafia prequel. Website GamesIndustry.biz reported that the former PlayStation employee whose gender discrimination lawsuit was recently dismissed has filed a new complaint against the company, alleging similar claims of discrimination.
Oh, so they just rework the wording so they don't throw it out.
Right. Prosecutors at the National Labor Relations Board have accused Activision Blizzard of illegally threatening their staff or discussing wages and working conditions.
Please, can we have all of this?
Things just keep getting better and better for that deal.
I want to see the transcripts. I want them to do like the Johnny Depp trial. I want them to come in and they were like, yeah, so they were like, basically, if we didn't work crunch, they were going to cut our dicks off. Like, it's got to be great.
Yes. Next nugget. Ubisoft shareholders are waiting for the company's stock price to rise before considering a sell, according to website Seeking Alpha. Shareholders are unlikely to sell for less than 60 euros per share, with some holding out for more than 100 euros per share, apparently. Good luck with that. For context, 60 euros is 64 US dollars, and Microsoft purchased Activision for $95 per share.
Which is what, like 62 euros? How
Right.
does that work?
Yeah, something like that. Also, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 has surpassed 1 million copies sold, according to publisher CI Games. Returnal won 2 awards at the Finnish Game Awards on Tuesday, Game of the Year 2021 and Big Screen Game of the Year 2021, whatever that means.
You wrote 2-day.
I did, 2-day. Website Push Square reported that Apex Construct and Wraith, the Oblivion Afterlife developer Fast Travel Games revealed that they are working on multiple projects for PSVR 2. There you go. Maybe we'll see them next week. The Uncharted movie has crossed $400 million worldwide at the box office, and their box office gross is on pace with Dune, according to Forbes. Incredible.
Yes, and I'd also like to point out, if you watched both of those movies, you get through a lot more exposition in Uncharted. I feel like we didn't get very far in Dune, but it was like 3 hours long. But that doesn't mean it was long. It just felt like we didn't get very far.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Also, the 60 frames per second PS5 update for Assassin's Creed Origins is holding off until June 7th, it would seem, when the title hits Xbox Game Pass. Fart noise. Sony confirmed this week that content can no longer be transferred between PS3 and PS Vita as of the new firmware update on May 11th. Couldn't type this week, huh? The Xbox Store leaked a new standalone multiplayer DLC for Destroy All Humans called Clone Carnage. The DLC will include 4 modes, 6 maps, and multiplayer for up to 4 players. The native PS5 version of Resident Evil 3 appears to be coming imminently, as the system is now recognizing the free PS4 to PS5 upgrade after inserting the game disc. The BBC Sounds app for PS5 is now available to download and features music, radio, podcasts, and news. Forspoken was rated M for mature in Europe this week by PEGI, suggesting that perhaps the game will not be delayed again, although rumors began to swirl this week that Square Enix may delay the game to make way for Final Fantasy XVI later this year, which is also nearing completion. A new job posting at Sony suggests that a PlayStation PC launcher or storefront of some sorts is in the works, as SIE is hiring for a director of project management for PC game experiences. with one of the primary tasks being to lead PSN platform integration. So there they go. They're marching toward their 2025 50% of their games on PC. Multiplayer top-down party racing game You Suck at Parking was announced to be coming to PlayStation consoles at some point in the future. Looks pretty fun. 1993 shooter game Gem Power: The Lost Dimension in 3D will be getting ported to PS4 and will also come bundled with the long-lost Sega Genesis version, which released for the first time just last year. Publisher Square Enix confirmed that Forspoken will not have microtransactions, but it will have DLC after the game's ESRB rating mentioned in-game purchases. Also, website PlayStation Universe reported that the following games received update patches this week: Hitman 3, Final Fantasy 14, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Gran Turismo 7, No Man's Sky, Minecraft Dungeons, Call of Duty Vanguard, Marvel's Avengers, Evil Dead, the game, and Rust Console Edition. If you've been waiting for something to be fixed or some new content, might look into that. Also, Insomniac Games appears to be working on yet another title, this time a multiplayer game based on a new IP, according to a job posting for an art director. How many games are these guys working on? Shit. Final Fantasy 15 director Hajime Tabata may be working on a PlayStation exclusive project, according to insider Oops Leaks, who claims that Tabata has secured a partnership with Sony for the first game at his new studio, JP Games. Cyberpunk cat adventure game Stray might be releasing on July 19th, according to a PSN database placeholder found by Twitter account PlayStation Game Size.
We know what's happening with that yet? Like, what are we doing?
We're probably going to find out. I forgot about this. We're probably going to find out on June 2nd, so stay tuned. Website Gematsu reported that deck builder roguelike game Super Bullet Break will launch on PS4 on August the 12th. Deck builder RPG Solvars was announced to be in development for consoles, although no platforms or release date were given. 2D side-scrolling action RPG Lost Epic will exit early access and launch on PS4 and PS5 on July 28th. Developer TVT, the company formed by former God Eater and Freedom Wars veteran Toshiyuki Yasui, who knows, announced that it has 3 projects in development: a game development engine, actually, a rhythm action game codenamed Jabberwocky, fantastic, and a multiplayer action game codenamed Shaz. Jabberwocky, just call it that. Also, a narrative adventure game Paper Ghost Stories: Third Eye Open, Third Eye Blind was announced for PS4 and PS5. It is due out in early 2023.
Isn't third eye your vagina? That's your whispering eye.
Yeah, third eye's your butthole.
Oh, God.
Also, story-driven dark fantasy adventure game I, the Inquisitor was announced for PS5 by Polish developer The Dust, but no release date was given.
That's a great The Dust. I'm really into that.
Yeah, it doesn't look terrible. I watched the trailer for it. Pokemon-style monster collecting MMO game Tim will exit early access and launch on PS5 on September the 6th. The Lord of the Rings Gollum will launch on September the 1st for PS4 and PS5, developer Daedalic Entertainment announced. Developer Game Grumps announced narrative-driven psychological horror game Homebody for consoles. It will release later this year. Publisher Modus Games announced that fighting game Them's Fightin' Herds will launch on PS4 and PS5 sometime this fall.
I hope it's just animals.
It is. It is animals. Yeah, it's just a fighting game with animals. And that is one of the best video game names I've ever seen. Not only because it lets me use really dig deep into my southern accent, but because it's very, very unique and clever. Also, survival horror game Yomawari Lost in the Dark will come west and release on PS4 sometime this fall. Arc System Works will release a large-scale balance update for fighting game Guilty Gear Strive on June 10th. Publisher Nacon announced gardening sandbox game Garden Life, in which players can plant, cultivate, decorate, and manage their own garden. No platforms or release date were announced, however.
Can you bury a dead body in it? That's the only reason I play it.
Yeah. You can get a lot. I watched a show on Netflix about that.
About how dead bodies are good compost?
Yeah. Fighting game JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R will launch on PS4 and PS5 worldwide on September the 2nd. The PS4 version of adventure game Noel the Mortal Fate will launch on June 8th. Skateboarding game Ollie Ollie World will get its first DLC called Void Riders, Dick Riders, on June 15th. Publisher Bandai Namco will host a closed network test for Gundam Evolution on both PS4 and PS5 from June 23rd to June 28th. Action RPG SD Gundam Battle Alliance will launch on PS4 and PS5 on August 25th. Indie Live Expo announced they will hold a Winter 2022 showcase again this year, probably sometime in November. And finally, Travis, Gamatsu reported that Sega or Sega announced that they will hold a quote unquote new project announcement live stream on June 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And that is all for the news this week. Mercifully. Christ, it's a lot. Told you guys. And now I'm going to kick it over to Travis for a lengthy list of new releases this week.
On the 23rd, we have Injection, Ars Regia. Okay. On the 24th, we have Dungeon Defenders Awakened, Kruger, MX versus ATV Legends. On the 25th, we have Blow and Fry. It's an interesting weekend. We have Roller Champions, which some people are excited about. The Walking Zombie 2, Underland The Climb, Zombo Buster Advance. Like, that's just, I have no idea what the fuck's happening.
Zombo Italiano. I don't know either.
Yeah, it doesn't even tell me what the game's about. Like, the 26th, we have Arcade Archives, Fleeple. Fleeple, what's a Fleeple?
Guess as good as mine.
We have Can You Escape? Destroyopolis, which sounds like fun. Sniper Elite 5, which is always fun. On the 27th, we have Arcade Spirits, The New Challengers, Demons Tier Plus, Horror Break, Cow the Kangaroo, Moolander, My Little Pony, A Maritime Bay Adventure, Oktoberfest Run, Pac-Man Museum Plus, Remote Life, Riddled Corpses X, Super Arcade Football, Diabolical Trilogy, The Jumping Pizza, and Xenon Valkyrie Plus. And I would say Sniper Elite is probably the biggest game on the list, at least for me. Roller Champions has gotten a lot of pub, for better or worse. And I'm really interested in Destroyopolis, because if I can just destroy things, that might be extra.
Yeah, I agree. I think without question, Sniper Elite 5 is the biggest one. I'm going to check out Roller Champions. I have it downloaded. Was not able to get into a match the other night. Destropolis, I had on my wish list actually, and almost bought it. It's only like $5, and it's like a twin stick shooter type of thing, but I'm going to wait on that. And there's actually one game that came out today that is not on the list called Ashland Dossier that I'm going to send to you because it looks right up your alley. And I'm not joking. So anyway.
Okay.
Also, Riddled Corpses EX on Vita. I don't know why it's just now coming to PS5, but you can play that on Vita. And yeah, so that's all of the new games this week. Enjoy out there. And let's start to wrap the show up, Travis, like we always do, by discussing what we have been playing and anything that we're looking forward to. What do you got?
Played Sandstorm. I actually played. I played pretty well after the first game. Always after the first game.
Yeah, you gotta get loose.
Yeah, we played pretty well. I had some fun with that. I was using the FAMAS the first game, and that is like a that was a talent jump I wasn't ready for. We finished our F1 season, first co-op season. We had some regulation changes, which we managed to save enough points to where we had to kind of protect the parts we had made, and didn't lose any that were at risk. And we ended up, I think our durability and our power unit are like the top two in F1 right now, but our other
That's
our
right.
aero and chassis are like dead last. So we'll see how that plays out. We did experience the glitch trying to move into season. I think it took us four or five loads to get it to finally work, and when it did work, it glitched and didn't let me have any of my driver perks. So that's pretty fun. That doesn't annoy me at all. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a terrible first season. The last race, it was wet. It wasn't just raining. It was like piss pouring rain.
Yeah,
And
it was a disaster for me.
Yeah, so like I spun twice. I got spun twice, I should say, where like if this would have been a real race, they would have probably penalized the other car for turning into me. Like I had position on the inside of the turn, and they kind of just the AI just kind of drove through me. And when they hit, so I did that twice, and ended up finishing fifth, which was 5 points short of the championship, which is awesome. Really happy about that. If I wouldn't have had two engine failures, I might have been able to win the title. But that's part of the fun of the game. Yeah, you were back there having a blast. I don't remember what happened to you, but that was I'm sure it was awesome. Driving in the rain is just I'm just not good at it. It's just, I'm not good at it. I can drive in the wet, sure, but when it's piss pouring rain, it doesn't work for me. None of it works. So we also played Multiverse, which was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
I mean, I didn't have any expectations. I don't particularly enjoy Brawlhalla, and that might have been because by the time I got to it, people were already like god tier, and like,
Right.
how can I get better? I'm just not going to get better by getting my ass beat. But on this, it was fun to play with the different characters and try them out. I'm only good with Bugs Bunny at this point. I don't
Yes.
know if it's because I understand. I can shoot rockets at people. I could go underground and pop up behind them. Like, you know, I can hit people with a huge mallet. Like, all of his moves make sense to me. I really struggled with Velma. Batman is fun. I like Batman. The grappling hook's pretty useful.
Yeah, I like him.
Taz isn't bad. Taz is really good if you're just gonna like spam. If you're just gonna spam the whole match, Taz is good because when he's in the tornado,
Yeah.
you can really when he's in the tornado, you have to time it just right to kind of knock him out of it. And if you
Hmm.
don't, he just keeps hitting you and hitting you and hitting you. So like that's a great character if you're just gonna spam and you don't really want to learn how to play the game. And the Shaggy's cool. I kind of like Shaggy. I thought Shaggy was fun. So
Yeah.
I had we had a great time yelling at people. We got kind of hot the first night. I think we lost once the first night. We were like 6-1 after the first night.
Yeah, we were crushing.
And then the next night wasn't so great. I think we were shitty for about 30 minutes, and then we were really good for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing multiverses coming up and whatever else we get into. Sandstorm's fun, F1's fun. At some point, I'll get Sniper Elite. I don't know if it'll be now or if I'll wait until
Mm.
fall. It's always fun to run around in World War II, shoot people in slow motion, and watch their body parts explode. Like it doesn't get not fun, and
Yeah.
they do a really fun job with like the environments are really fun, like as accurate as you would expect it. They're more accurate than you would expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I'm into.
Want to back up for just a second? So, Riddled Corpses EX, one of the new games this week. I just looked on the store. It's a free upgrade to the PS5 version if you already own it on PS4, PS Vita. So, just a heads up on that for the three of you that probably have it. I have some bad news for you. Multiversus, the closed alpha is over. So, we'll have to wait until July for the open beta. And then their Twitter handle says that the game is launching in July. So, sounds like we're going to have like a beta 1 week, and then a couple weeks later, we're going to have the game out. That's exciting. Not too much longer that we'll have to wait. But yeah, like you said, we played some Sandstorm, played against humans, what we've been doing lately. It's a mixed bag for me.
Hmm.
Sometimes I do pretty well, and other times I get my shit pushed in. It just depends. And then, yes, we did finish our F1 2021 season, and my last race ended terribly. I think that was the race that I was wrecked. Yeah, I was wrecked like early off, like right off the
Oh, you
bat.
broke
And
your wing.
I broke my wing because someone spun me out, and I think it was Verstappen or Verstappen, however you say it. And then, I dropped down to like 19th or 20th, and I raced all the way back to fifth. And then with 2 laps to go, my internal
Yeah,
combustion engine gave out.
explode. That's right.
So, so I finished 19th or 20th. So that's brilliant. That's brilliant stuff. But yeah, we're moving on to year two, I guess. And then we've got, I don't remember how much longer we have with our EA trial thing, but either way, we've got the new one coming first week of July. So we won't have to wait too long before we're racing. And then, we played some multiverses. I really like Superman, but I also really like Batman. I discovered I was able to unlock him this week. So I'm really looking forward to that game. That game is very good. Lots of fun. And we just, you just play, and I don't know. I feel like we kind of lost time to it in a way. I wasn't bored with it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I was really enjoying it.
Oh, and if you're bored, there's a list out there of the rumored characters coming at launch. More characters.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. I'll have to look for that. Also played some Crusader Kings 3 this week, and I'm really hitting my stride in that game.
Really
I
enjoy
figured
that.
out, huh?
I really enjoy it.
I have really figured some stuff out. I've watched a couple of videos. I figured out how to fabricate claims on counties with my bishop. So I'm just taking over Ireland. I'm working on it. The other thing is that my character died of old age. I got sick at the age of 62 and I died at the age of 64. So immediately when I became sick at 62, my son and my heir was still in prison by the King of France. So I immediately did whatever it took to get him out of prison. I paid 100 gold to get my son out of prison in France so that I would have an heir when I died. Sure enough, I did.
Was he your only male heir?
No, no,
That was your only.
he has some half brothers because my wife died and I remarried and I had more children. So but he was my oldest male, whatever child, so he inherited it. So anyway, he's like, I'm so that's my character now. I'm like 45 anyway, so I'm really hitting my stride. Okay,
Question is, are you going to take over France for imprisoning?
it's possible if I get big enough. So here's what's happening, and I know I gotta hurry up. I can't, or I won't be able to salvage the 90 minutes, but I have to take over a couple more counties in Ireland, and then I'm going to declare. I'm going to create the title of the Kingdom of Ireland, of which I will make myself king, and then I'm going to subjugate everyone in Ireland to follow me, and then I'll have hopefully a lot of military strength that I can work my way over. So I might be coming back for revenge in France. We'll see. Love that fucking game. It's so good. And if you guys are curious, just watch some of my videos that I've been doing in a series on our YouTube channel. It's good, and it's something you can just kind of chill out to. So anyway, to wrap up here, I went back and downloaded Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I have been watching The Last Kingdom on Netflix, and I've just been in the mood for Viking shit. So I re-downloaded it. I've been playing a little bit, but not too much yet. They added this what they call a discovery tour to the game, and it's like a guided historical tour through Norway and England and that time, and it's pretty neat. Just kind of tells you about how they made the game and some facts about real life facts about things that are in the game and so on and so forth. Shows you some artwork and stuff. It's really cool. It's really well done. So I've just been doing that really. We'll see if I stick with it. And then the last thing I played was Ghostwire Tokyo, which I tweeted earlier. I'm actually enjoying quite a bit. But the problem is that it makes me sick. Like no matter what graphical mode that I use, the frame rate or the performance is so bad. It's like skippy or like laggy, like slightly. And I played for 2 hours last night and I got a splitting headache and I had to go to bed. So that's not a good sign. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue on with that unless they patch that somehow. But anyway, that's all I've been playing. That's quite a bit. All right. So that's it for the show this week. I'll figure out a way to keep us under an hour and a half. Wouldn't want to lie to you folks out there. But you guys have a good week. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, don't forget to subscribe so that we'll get delivered to you every Monday. Also, if you could leave us a review or a rating or thumbs up or hearts or stars on your podcast service, that will be greatly appreciated and will help us fight the algorithm. Also, if you could share us with a friend or a loved one who you think may enjoy a PlayStation podcast like this, where they can get everything PlayStation in less than 90 minutes every week, we would very much appreciate that. Don't forget to find us on social media. Hit us up and let's talk PlayStation. You guys take care. Have a great week. Look forward to the state of play, and we'll talk at you next time. Bye bye.